MorningLine. Thanks for joining us. Our guests with us this morning, Butch Spyridon, CEO of the Nashville Convention and Visitors Corporation. Ben Eagles is an advisor to the mayor, senior advisor, talking about the stadium deal. We're getting some phone calls. I want to get them. They waited through the break, if you don't mind, guys, and we can cover more ground here with Taylor. Taylor, good morning. Hi, Taylor.
Good morning, Nick.
Hey.
And good morning to your guest. I'm going to say that I've got some counterpoints to what's being said, so I'll just limit myself to a few. I don't think that the citizens have been given enough information on this entire project. In 1999, we said we had a 30-year stadium, and so there's several years left on that 30 years. But my main point is this. We're one of the smallest markets in the NFL. There are 32 teams, and we talk about maybe getting a Super Bowl. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe we get one. The NFL doesn't like some of our laws that have been passed, and they say, okay, well, you're excluded because of what your legislature did. I don't like that, and they are very political about that sort of thing. Now, the second part, the stadium, or the Titans and the Adams family have a value to themselves of between $2.5 and $3 billion, the worth of the Titans, if they want to sell it. After this construction is done, it's been estimated by some people in that business that knows their value will go up immediately, at least $300,000 more than what it currently is.
Oh, more than that. The new stadium is going to increase the value of the franchise exponentially. It makes it incredibly more appealing. So I'm sure the Titans love that, right? Okay, so what's your point on that? It will make it more valuable.
Well, the part that they're putting in on this now is one of the smallest amounts of any of the stadiums that have been built that uses taxpayer bonds to build, if I made myself clear on that. This ownership is throwing in the least amount of any of the recent stadiums.
Okay, let me see, Taylor, on this, because we have other calls we have to get to. We went back and looked. Okay, this is the 19th NFL stadium to be built since 2000, is my understanding, okay? That's after this one that's been built in Nashville. It's the 8th in a row with a price tag of over $1 billion, all right? Only 3 of those facilities, Gillette Stadium, MetLife Stadium, and SoFi Stadium, have been built without any public funding. The other 16 have received a combined $7.3 billion from taxpayers when adjusted for inflation. So, I don't know. If you look at these other deals, and is the franchise not putting in as much as other teams? Are they getting another sweetheart deal here?
Well, I think the choice before the mayor was twofold. Do we want to keep the team, and do we want to get the city out of the existing lease that obligates the taxpayer? Because currently there is no funding stream to maintain our obligation on Nissan Stadium. So if you want to keep the team and you want to free up an obligation of nearly $2 billion on the general taxpayer, the solution before us is to create a new stadium with a new lease that is much more friendly to the city. So I know the caller talked about not having enough information at this time. That's one reason we're doing the show. That's one reason why the council has an East Bank committee that met last night and heard a presentation on this topic. There will be another dozen community meetings about this, both with the East Bank committee and 5 public meetings around the county in the next 2 months. This is going to be a very deliberate process. We want this to be very intentional and for everyone to have as much information as possible, and certainly for the members of the Sports Authority and the council to be leading that discussion.
Will there be some public hearings just addressed? There will be some that people will be able to address. You know, one of the issues they talked about, and the council again saying, well, we still need to look into this. So you would expect they have to sign off on it. One of the issues was the parking thing. One way or the other, as opposed to having sprawling up a grove, we're just going to have to get used to parking garages.
Yeah,
that's the reality.
You may have heard me yesterday. I said, I have a great parking spot. I was able to buy a pass before the stadium was built, and I'm going to give that up, and I don't like it at all. But I like the upside. So yeah, there's some pain and inconvenience that comes with some of this. But to Ben's point, right now, just if we did nothing else with the stadium, we owe $60 million from the general fund on debt that the Titans have fronted and debt service on the bonds. So there's $60 million out of the general fund, and we get nothing. So why not relieve the general fund? Why not create an opportunity to grow revenue streams? And you get
a bunch of more land back, right? In front of there,
a ton of land back. You get property tax that is non-existent today that comes with the development.
And this new lease will run through how long? If this is signed, is it another 30? Is starting from scratch 0 to 30?
It'd be a 30-year lease within 3 opportunities for 5-year extensions.
In your mind, you compare this new deal to what we did in '96. How bad was the deal in '96? Was it a bad deal?
Well, it depends on so I was involved in it, I advocated for it. It was not a great financial deal for Nashville. But to jump from no way in hell to one of 32 cities in 1996 was huge. So we invested in ourselves, and it paid off. And so now we have a chance to invest in ourselves again and do it more creatively with less burden on the Nashville, Davidson County taxpayers.
Well, and you have a little more clout because you have an owner here who's not looking to leave. In fact, I would imagine, this is a very desirable place to live. You were sitting next to Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, at this last week's game. What does he think of Nashville?
He's blown away by what's happened here. He readily admitted he was not advocating for us to host the draft. He said, I just didn't think Nashville was big enough, ready enough. So that changed his mind. And then he said he had never seen Broadway from the Fifth Avenue end until Saturday night. And he was like, is this like this all the time? So he saw energy, vibrancy. He saw the footprint that Ben alluded to, hotels, restaurants, attractions, walking distance to the stadium. It becomes the best footprint, not just in the NFL, for Final Four, college football. It is the best package in the country, bar none.
I love the Twitter video of you and him on stage at Tootsie singing Ring of Fire. I mean, that was incredible. You guys cut it loose.
Yeah, we're pretty good, huh?
Yeah, just kidding. Just kidding. All right, let's take another phone call. We'll go to Melinda. Melinda, good morning. Hi, Melinda. Are you there, Melinda? Okay, we'll come back to her. I hate it if someone's holding and I miss her. James, good morning. Hi, James.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you?
Good. What's on your mind?
All right, East Bank, dude, I think that's the best thing Nashville's ever done. I think this is going to be a tremendous party for everybody involved because you're going to get people in here from everywhere. Everybody's going to be like, let's go to Nashville. They just built this stadium. It's awesome. I think we need to spend a little extra, have extra skyboxes in it. I think we need to put down a footprint to where it'll last 30, 35 years. Because what we're bringing in as a community, being Nashville, Tennessee, will be much better than somewhere else. I mean, because you got music here, you build that type of stadium, people are coming to it. I'm going to put on a concert here, man. They got a brand new stadium.
Well, that's the point. You're saying it's going to bring a lot of economic, punch to the city by upgrading it. Just again for people, we're having some folks asking again on Facebook the cost. All right, so by the numbers, $840 million, and any construction overruns will come from the Titans.
Mm-hmm. Titans and NFL, I think that's
and
fair.
Titans, NFL, and PSL sales. $500 million comes from the state. And then the remaining $760 million will come from revenue bonds from the Metro Sports Authority. That's what we're talking about with the increase in the tax, correct? Is that where
That's
right.
That's how that comes to. It comes to a total of $2.1 billion to cover the cost, and that's how it comes in. The agreement also means Metro regains about 66 acres on the East Bank.
That's right. Land that is currently parking lots.
That's just
That
parking lots,
generates
which is
no
the site
revenue today.
just sits there. No revenue.
So
That's
it'll
parking lot.
generate sales tax and property tax.
Because the idea is the new stadium will be built just back behind where the existing stadium is. That one will be torn down, and that area will be redeveloped. Not another parking lot. You're going to have parking garages.
Well, and when the
Retail,
caller,
residential.
Yeah.
when the caller talks about how exciting the East Bank is, and I of course share his enthusiasm, the thing that makes the mayor particularly excited isn't just about the stadium. When you move the stadium a little bit to the east, that then frees up land to have a park that's basically Centennial Park lawn size, going from the river to the front steps of the stadium. You're able to have a north-south transit spine, a boulevard, and a road grid with sidewalks and bike lanes that we currently don't have on the East Bank. And you're able to have affordable housing on that land. You're able to have a transit hub with dedicated bus lanes. So really creating a vibrant East Nashville, East Bank that is a place not just for visitors, but it's a place for families and residents in Nashville to go and enjoy. And that park, I think, can't be overstated in terms of the importance.
What were you say?
I was just going to add, since Ben mentioned not just for tourists. I agree. So let me go on the record as the tourist guy who says, yeah, not just for tourists. And if we're smart as a city, because I've read the criticism, oh, what are we going to do? Just let the beast jump the river? And we can ban party vehicles over there. Let's do the planning right. Let's decide what kind of vehicles can travel there. Let's decide what kind of outside noise, maybe there's an exception for an event. But on a daily basis, we can plan ahead with transit, noise, all the issues we don't like. Let's fix it ahead of time so it's not a question.
So, yeah, and really the key here is you're setting it up in undeveloped land.
Yeah.
Whereas when we talk about mass transit doing anything on this side, and we tried and we went there, and it is hard because there's existing structures, existing concerns. So you think there'll be an avenue for mass transit? And we see some of the images of what it might look like. I mean, for, I don't know, a trolley line or, I don't know, some kind of light rail. I don't know. What do you imagine?
I might look to you.
Oh, yeah.
What the mayor and the planning department have worked on as part of this Imagine East Bank project is a north-south boulevard going through the East Bank, basically through the footprint of where the stadium is now. And that will be a boulevard, if you go online and look at the renderings, that has a dedicated bus lane, 2 lanes of traffic, large sidewalks. So multimodal transportation in an area that right now development is coming to the East Bank. Whether we want it or not, the East Bank will develop. It's a question of how it's going to develop and if it develops well and with smart growth. And if you bring mass transit, if you bring a park, if you bring affordable housing and a transit hub, you're able to create a neighborhood where people want to live and where locals want to go spend time.
That's all in the area you see the map. But just so we know, the metal scrap that jumps, there, that's
Yes.
not moving, right? That's all going to still be over down that way, right? There's no ability to move that.
This will help create some momentum to hopefully and eventually get rid of that.
I understand why it needs to be on the river. You've been down there where they're dumping it onto the barges. It makes sense. It's just there. But
They need
for now,
interstate, they need rail, and they need water.
Right.
And so it's hard to find a new home.
Yeah.
But there's nobody, except maybe them, that doesn't want to get rid of it or move it somewhere. But we got to create enough momentum so that it has to be moved, and we get rid of probably the biggest blight.
it's an eyesore. I mean, it's an eyesore, but I mean,
Yeah.
maybe you give them other options, other places that'll work.
Yeah, you got to find something for them.
Absolutely. Okay, let's go to Christy. Christy, good morning. Hi, Christy.
Good morning. Listen, I've got a different kind of an idea. I say let's be like Green Bay. Let's be like Green Bay. Let this rest of this contract with the Titans run out, in 5 years? And then we can split that $1 billion into renovating the current stadium. And when the Titans contract is over, the Texas Titans, then we can start the Nashville Neighbors football team all by the taxpayers. And, you know, and it's a win-win for the citizens of Nashville. And
she's making reference to Green Bay being community-owned. There's people who have stock in that, and if you own stock in the Packers this year, the money's down. But I understand kind of what, again, a nice idea. That's certainly not an option. We know that.
It's not one of the options on the table, certainly.
Okay.
Well, and also the
but I
lease,
like her idea.
The lease would run another 17 years.
It's not 5 years, it's 17 years. And really that's what it comes down to is I'm like a lot of people wondering, okay, the cost and where we go, we're not starting from a basis. As Butch said earlier, and it's kind of getting to me, is that we're operating under an existing lease that just is not great at all. And we have an opportunity to upgrade it considerably and make a much better deal. Now, you might want to argue, okay, do we want to even have the team and do that? Well, we have the team, we have this lease, we have to deal with it. We either live with this crappy one or we upgrade to what seems to be better, is kind of the way I'm taking it.
I agree with you, because nobody would be surprised, but then you run the risk of, okay, the team might leave, and by no means have the Titans threatened or even uttered that word. But look at Houston, Cleveland, Baltimore, LA, all had teams and lost. And what did they do? They got their act together and went back after it because of the intrinsic value, if not the general tax revenue. It's got so many benefits to it.
Take a break. We'll be back. Our final segment, more of your calls, and we'll wrap it up with our guests with final comments right after this.